Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this wonderful Wednesday morning. We're going to continue our learning about the legislative branch and understanding what's going on and how bills are made today. We're going to learn how a bill becomes a law, and you will have the opportunity to watch Schoolhouse Rock. Feel free to sing along as you watch it today. Get family members to sing along, have a little fun with it. I know you guys love it and will watch it over and over again. Don't be afraid to make a TikTok. I know some of you will want to out of watching that video. But first, I just want to talk briefly about how a bill becomes a law so that we can have a basic understanding. I've included lots of resources to help you understand this process because it is very important. But basically, it starts with an idea. Somebody has an idea for a bill, a law that needs to be passed, a change that needs to be made in our country, and that is written into what we know as a bill. A bill can start in the House or the Senate unless it is about money, and then it must start in the House of Representatives according to the Constitution, because that is the House of the people, and they're the ones that are in charge of the money. And so it is introduced and it is given a number in a letter. If it starts in the House, it's given HR, whatever the number is. And if it started in the Senate, it is given S, whatever the number. And then they will decide. There are readings of the bill, and then it goes to and is sent to certain committees often. Committees are just smaller groups within both the House and the Senate that have specific expertise or areas of focus. And so then they will read the bill and make changes, amendments, or they can actually kill the bill if they want to. They don't think it's reasonable, viable, or they just don't like it. It can never make it out of committee. And this is where most bills end up dying, is in committee. So, for example, if there's a bill on electric cars, it could go to the Transportation Committee, Energy Committee, small business committees, depending on who is in charge or who's writing the bill or who it's for. And then even committees can send them to what we call subcommittees. It's just as a smaller, even more focused group. Within transportation, it could be automobile manufacturing, it could be charging stations, right? It could be whatever the committee is that they've created, that they have created for that session of Congress, Lord, and those are the ones that they'll send it to. If it can make it out of subcommittee, and make it out of the committees, generally then will end up on the main floor of each house, of either the House or the Senate, whichever one it's in first, will be voted on. And in the House, it has to go through the Rules Committee and how long it can be debated, what kind of votes, and they determine the rules of the bill. In the Senate, it's a little different. It doesn't have to necessarily go through a Rules Committee, but it has to be voted on in the Senate. The other difference with the Senate is there can be a filibuster, which is basically a senator talking for an extended period of time up front, reading anything that they can or want, and that can block the bill from ever being voted on. If it's voted on in both either the House or the Senate, it's passed by a majority. It then goes to the other House that it did not start in. So if it started in the House, it then goes to the Senate, goes through the very similar process, and if it started in the Senate, it will then go to the House and go through the same process there. Once it has gone through both, and if there have been any changes, there needs to be an agreement from both the House and the Senate on the bill, and it needs to have the exact same wording, amendments, everything before it can be sent to the president. So in some cases, there is what is called a conference committee, where they'll come together and decide and make sure that they can come to an agreement so that the same bill is being sent to the president. If that happens, it's sent to the president. The president then can sign it, veto it, or ignore it. Really are the main three options that the president has. And that is all dependent on when they receive the bill. If Congress is still going to be in session or not in session, and that can determine what they will do. If the president signs it, it becomes law. If they veto it, it can go back to the House and the Senate for them to try and override the veto with 2/3 majority deciding to overturn it. or it can just die. So there's lots of options. Feel free to look at the different resources that I've given you, to read, videos to watch, infographics that will be helpful. And then please let me know if you have questions during our office hours, need me to explain anything in more detail. Once you read through and understand, feel like you have a good understanding of how a bill becomes a law, I've included an activity that I want you to do. Is you're going to be looking for one of three bills and new laws that have been passed dealing with the current coronavirus. And so you're going to go to Congress.gov, and I've given you that link. And when you get there, you'll go to the search bar and you will search coronavirus. And once you do that, you'll search it, and there will be a lot of bills that will come up. There's been a lot of bills that have been introduced, and some have not gone anywhere. Some have just died, which we know happens often with bills, but there are some that have made it to the president. So your job is to find one of those bills that's what has been introduced and has already made it to President Trump. What doesn't matter if he signed it or not, but it has to have made it. So once you search coronavirus, you'll get, as you can see, 94 different bills in the last few weeks that have been introduced. What you're going to do is you're going to scroll down the left side of your screen to status of legislation, click on the plus sign, and then you're going to scroll down and click on to president. I want the bill to get all the way through the process, and so then you can see that there are three bills that you really have to choose from. Once you get in there, you can click on any of them, whichever one you think is most interesting to you. Click on it. It will take you to that page. And then once you're in there, the easiest way to do this, because you're going to be creating a diagram, is you're going to click on actions, which is right here. This tells you the steps and the process that this bill has gone through to become a law. Then you'll scroll down to the left side, click all actions. That will include everything that it's done, all committees, votes, everything like that. And then I would, to make it as easy as possible, sort of oldest to newest, because this is where it starts. This one started on March 4th, and then it goes through and tells you all of the stuff that it does. And it was finally signed into law on March 6th. So let me know if you have questions, what the steps are that you want, that I need. All of that is laid out in the document that I have included in Schoology. So please let me know, and you have some freedom in how you want to create this, how you want to show the process that this went through. But make sure you're including all of the major steps. So again, hopefully I'll see you at office hours, even if it's just to say, hey, hope you guys are having a great day, and enjoying some family time, enjoying some rest and not being overwhelmed too much with all the schoolwork.